Hi, and welcome back to yet another exciting week of the Lazy Money Game. In this week's episode, I will start by giving a short update to my portfolio, and then I will talk about creating wealth, or rather, having the right mindset to create wealth, and I will try to explain that in a more visual fashion through some flowcharts. So let's start with the portfolio update. The first thing we immediately notice is that there was a green circle for this week's episode. If we then go to the portfolio values tab, we can see that the value has increased by $5,000. So we say thanks to Mr. Market for voting in our favor, but otherwise I don't put too much attention into this. So let's instead continue to my favorites tab, namely the dividends tab. Unfortunately, this has been quite a boring week since I haven't received a single dividend, so I'm still at the $174 mark for March so far. So instead, we continue to the overview arc and scroll all the way to the top, just so you have an overview of each individual holding in the portfolio. So as promised, this was just a very quick portfolio update. And needless to say, I'm quite happy every time Mr. Market votes in my favor, even though in the long run I will pay more attention to the weighing machine instead of these short-term votes. So as promised in the intro, let's continue to this poor people mentality versus rich people mentality, since what I'm showing you on this channel is my journey towards financial independence. I am a normal worker receiving a salary where unfortunately I don't have a contract where I'm getting paid based off what I'm able to do. I simply get a fixed salary every month. And I mean, as long as you work under these conditions, and if it's possible for me to be able to achieve financial independence, then I'm pretty sure that it will be a possibility for a lot of other people as well. But a lot of it boils down to your mentality. I fully understand that we all come from different backgrounds, so someone will have a much harder journey than me, and someone will have a much easier journey than me. Of course, if you are born from an extremely wealthy family, well, you can actually be born into financial independence. So let me try and show you the flowcharts and explain why the mindset is so crucial. So let's start with the flowchart with the cash flow for a poor household. So over to the left here, you can see you have your active income, and then you have this massive arrow where the majority of your income goes directly towards expenses such as rent, food, utilities, subscriptions, insurance, and unexpected bills. The rest of your active income goes towards liabilities. That could be something like a car, and here I have written random stuff, since if you are truly in a poor household, then you probably don't have a lot of expensive hobbies which would normally come here as liabilities. The main thing to note here is if you look to the top left corner and all the way to the right, then you can see that nothing goes towards assets. You are simply living paycheck to paycheck, so you have to clock in your hours in order to simply continue to live, since you are spending every single dime that you are currently earning. And hopefully this flowchart makes it very visual that this is a vicious cycle to be in, since it seems like there's no way of escaping this. Either you have to increase your income or you have to lower your expenses. So you can either clock in more hours or you can spend less. And depending on if you have poor parents or how wealthy a family you come from, this can be an tremendous and extremely difficult task to do. So this is the reason why Charlie Munger says the first $100,000 that you put into assets will by far be the hardest. And he actually goes one step further and say, I don't care what you have to do, just make sure that you are damn willing to do whatever it takes to get there. Because once you have that mindset and have achieved the first $100,000 in investments, then it becomes a lot easier from there. So let's continue with the next flowchart. So this flowchart I have called cash flow for the middle class quotation mark rich households, because they are earning much more active income, but they still have this poor people mentality. It is very common for people when they start to earn more, then they have this mindset saying, I deserve this. And sometimes they are actually buying the things before they have gotten their paycheck. It is very common to see people, once they graduate from the university, that they will immediately go and spend the money which they haven't made yet as soon as they land their first job contract. So we can see here now it is a smaller portion of the active income that goes directly towards expenses such as a home, maintenance, utilities, subscription, entertainment, insurance, and unexpected bills. But now a larger part of this active income goes towards liabilities. Notice the plural here. Now it is multiple cars, a vacation home, a boat, a motorcycle, and all sorts of other random stuff, expensive activities that really puts a toll on your income. So even though you are now earning much more than in the poor household, you still have this poor people mentality where close to nothing goes towards your assets. So there is a big resemblance between cash flow for the poor household and cash flow for the quotation mark rich household, because you can see that it is still close to nothing that goes towards assets. The big difference is, since the active income has increased a lot, they are just spending much more since they are stuck with this same mindset. And in order for these people to transition from the quotation mark rich households to the wealthy households, let's look at flowchart number 3. And finally, we arrive at the last flowchart, cash flow path for the wealthy households. The important thing to note here is that now we are not just having one income stream, the active income, now there's also a passive stream of income. The next key thing to note here is, look at the size of the arrows here. Now the majority of the active income goes towards assets and investing, since now it's only 1/3 of the active income that goes towards expenses. And on top of that, we have this extra cycle where you have your passive income that produce a lot of money, so it further enhances your investing into stocks, bonds, or property. And at the same time, this passive income now pays for your liabilities. And you see that the flow of passive income that are investing into assets create even more cash as passive income, meaning that you have this good cycle going on. So the major difference here is that for a wealthy household, you understand before you buy the second car, before you buy a boat, before you buy a motorcycle, you want to have accumulated enough wealth so it's actually your passive income that would be capable of paying for these liabilities. This is of course stretching it a bit, saying that it should be able to pay it in full, because then it will take you a long time before you can buy a motorcycle or a boat. But simply having this mindset that if your passive income can't pay for the liabilities, then perhaps you should wait a little longer. Say, perhaps the active income and the passive income, if those can share the burden in half, well, then you are on your way to this. Because if you ever manage to get here, then you won't run out of money ever, and you will be truly financially independent. So hopefully this explains to you the difference between having a poor people mindset and a rich people mindset. I fully understand that if you are at the first flowchart here, where you are simply treading waters in order not to drown, and in order for you to get into a boat and actually having the opportunity to start improving your financial situation and investing into assets, that can be a tall order to ask. But if you manage to put yourself out of the first flowchart from the poor household and into the middle class, when you are here at the middle class and are willing to put some of your needs on hold for a little longer, then you will actually start to accumulate assets. at what pace and at what speed you will do this really depends from person to person. Some people like to spend a lot of money on cars, other people prefer to spend it on vacation. I'm not saying that you shouldn't spend any money on things that you actually really love and like. I'm just saying be aware of what it is that you are doing, since if you spend everything that you earn, then you will never get out of this vicious cycle and you will have to work all your life. If you want to achieve financial independence, you need to make sure a large part of your active income can go towards investing, meaning assets. That actually sums it up for yet another exciting week of the Lazy Money Game. I know when you're looking at flowcharts like this, it seems pretty obvious what you have to do, but I fully recognize that this is the same thing as when somebody tells you it's very easy how to lose weight, just eat less calories than what you are burning. It's very easy to understand the concept, but it can be quite hard to actually do in practice. If you have made it all the way to the end of the video, I hope that you have enjoyed the content and would consider leaving a like. It really helps out the channel a lot. And until I see you next time, bye!